Hello, welcome. Jessa here with the Empowered Path podcast. Thank you so much for being here with me today. This is episode 2. I think this is take 4. I am struggling a little bit today trying to bring you a recording that is not interrupted by 1,000 things. And I have no editing experience, so I'm trying to do this all in one take. So, with a big, deep inhale and exhale, I'm going to begin again. Today, I want to talk to you about confidence, about self-awareness, and about feeling some clarity about what it is that you want to bring forth in your life. Those are some deep topics, and they all start with a story from my childhood. So each one of these podcasts is going to have either a story from me or a story from someone else. There is something so powerful about the human story. And I found this out kind of happenstance through my memoir writing. And I never set out to be a memoir writer. I was a poet and I loved writing fantasy. I had no interest in nonfiction whatsoever until I started going to school. And I got pushed to write something from nonfiction, and I was a big journaler. So I thought, oh, memoir writing. I'm already journaling every day. This makes sense. But I soon discovered that to write a memoir, you have to research, you have to interview, you have to do a lot of work, you have to describe, you have to have a setting and detail. And to do that, I had to really dive deeper into my story. I had to talk to my family members. I had to look through photographs. I even went back and visited my childhood home. It's a lot that went into my memoir writing, and I'm so grateful for it because it truly, it set me on this path. And I'm grateful to be here, integrating my healing into my daily life and feeling better all the time. So today I want to bring you a lesson that I have learned recently. And that lesson is that we all have one of, typically, this is, and I may be wrong, but this is what I know so far, that we typically have one of 2 core wounds. And those 2 core wounds are either abandonment or humiliation. And the way you know yours, because you may be like me and have felt a significant amount of both abandonment and humiliation, but the way you can find out kind of quickly whether yours is abandonment or humiliation is whether you are a yes or a no person. So if you are a yes person, meaning you quickly jump up, help, yes, whatever you need, you're more of a people pleaser. It is coming from being abandoned and not wanting to be abandoned again. And then humiliation, you're more of a no person, you're more reserved, you have a wall up. You don't want to be humiliated again. And for me, it took me a long time to recognize. I knew that I was a yes person. I knew that I was a people pleaser, but it didn't make sense to me. I couldn't really think of where I had been abandoned. But through my memoir writing and through the process of researching for my memoir writing, I ended up having a conversation with my mother where I finally figured out where that abandonment was coming from. So until I was 4 years old, my mother was actually a stay-at-home mom. And more than that, we had a very strong bond. I was with her all the time, on her hip, her hand in my hand, that kind of thing. And when I was 4, my brother was 1, she felt like she needed to go back to work. There was some financial stress, some difficulty in my parents' marriage, and other circumstances that led to her going back to work. And my mother was a heavy equipment construction worker. So not only did she go back to work, like a 9 to 5 or part-time or something like that. No, she was working 10 to 12 hours, sometimes 6 or 7 days a week. She was gone. So I went from having my mom to not having my mom. And even though this is not like some big T trauma, like she didn't pass away, my body and what I felt in my nervous system was a shock. And then my Aunt Bonnie, my beautiful, nurturing, loving Aunt Bonnie, moved into our home and took care of me and my brother for a time. And she was loving and she was sweet and she kissed me all over and did all the mommy things. So in my mind, logically, I wasn't abandoned. I was extremely well loved. But that doesn't mean that I didn't feel abandoned by my mother. And then when my Aunt Bonnie left, I didn't feel abandoned by her, even though it was something that both of these women felt like they did have to do for their betterment, for their self-improvement, for their life. The love did not leave me. I was still well loved. But that didn't mean that I didn't feel abandoned. And then I was passed off from babysitter to babysitter, and every time I had an attachment, they left. And so, of course, I became a people-pleasing yes person, not only because of the abandonment, but because it was something that was very normal and typical in my family. All of the women in my family were yes people. So there was kind of a double whammy there. We're women, tending to be nurturing and loving, and we want to give. We didn't ever want to be selfish. And so I recognize that that's what my issue with abandonment was, through recognizing that part of my story. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because when I first started this healing journey several years ago, about a decade ago, I guess now, I kept asking myself, how did I get here? Where is all this stemming from? Why am I in so much pain? Where is my self-loathing and my low self-esteem and where is my confidence? I had no confidence. I didn't believe in myself whatsoever, even though logically, I felt like it was silly for me to not be confident. I knew I was partially intelligent, even though I had to build that back up, which is another story. But I knew that I should be confident. There was something in me that at least knew. And I was like, why do I have such a low self-esteem? And also, I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do with my life. I could not, for the life of me, understand what I wanted to do or who I wanted to be or how I wanted to do it. I'm a manifesting generator, according to human design, meaning that I like a lot of things. I never read one book at a time. I have 2, 3 journals. I have 2 or 3 books open. I'm writing, I'm painting, I'm building a program, I'm running a consultancy. I do all of these different things all at once. And I couldn't understand, like, what do I do? What do I want with my life? I had been going to school and I couldn't understand what it was that I really wanted to do. I felt pulled apart with indecision. And it was because throughout my life, I had picked myself apart for other people, trying to be what everyone else wanted me to be or what I thought I should be. I think so many of us do this, especially if you're a people pleaser, a yes person, right? Trying to please everyone else, trying to be whatever it is for everyone else. And I wish I could find it now, but I actually wrote a poem at some point in time about me feeling like I was a puzzle. And I had pulled like all of the pieces out that I didn't like and had picked them off of other people and other things and tried to fit them in, make them fit and make a different picture of who I was. But I also have this memory of being a very young girl and being very vibrant, very confident. And I was like, I had all this confidence at once. Originally, where did that go? How did I let that slip away? And it was, built from feeling abandoned and eventually feeling lots of shame and humiliation and judging myself, feeling judged by others, of course. But because I had been this people pleaser and had constantly picked myself to pieces, and I didn't feel like it was okay for me to be multiple things at once, I was so confused on how to move forward. And I, started hearing words like highest self, wanting to be the best version of yourself. When you get into healing, you start healing that, feeling that, and hearing that, how to bring forth your highest self. And so throughout my journey and trying to heal and trying to learn and become self-aware, I'm also trying to think about how to become the best version of myself. And I'm a painter and I'm a writer and I love fitness and I was in the military and I know logistics. I knew construction work. There's so many different things I could do, and there's practical things and creative things, and it was just so nerve-wracking and worrisome, and everyone else's fears were like piled up on top of me. And I was taking everyone else's feelings as my own, as a quote unquote empath / people pleaser, that I didn't know how to navigate forward. And that's really when I started down this, like, needing to go back and figure it out. I had to take out all of the pieces, all of those puzzle pieces that I had tried to replace, and get back to the core essential me. And then recognize that core wound, recognize all of the other generational trauma, and retell my story piece by piece, little by little. And as I am doing this, also look fully in the mirror at each different version of myself. At the little 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and upwards versions of myself. And see them and give them love. And as I did this, I was also learning all about meditation. And I was taking different meditations from Gabby Bernstein and Joe Dispenza and Emily Fletcher and there's just so many different meditations out there. And I started doing yoga nidra and things like that. And I started implementing my own sort of meditation. And I'm going to leave one of these meditations that I recorded for you in the show notes, because I recognize that for me to really get into a meditation, I needed to go in physically, notice my body, and relax my body in a very specific, very dedicated way. And then I could slip into memory. And I started building on all of the memories that I had worked through and recognizing where I felt confidence, where I felt myself, where I felt my truth come forward. There was all the people pleasing and all the other things, and I didn't think about that. I was just noticing the times in my life where the truth shone, where that truth was shining through, and it was really me, the original, confident, joyful, optimistic little me, before that core wound had really set in. And I recognized a pattern. I recognized where real joy was in my body and how to bring that forward. And so I'm going to offer that to you for free in the show notes, because I think it's a powerful experience, and I hope that it helps you. And really quickly, I just want to point out that all of this is intertwined and connected deeply to one specific thing, and it is self-awareness. And when you hear the words awakened and conscious, you may think like this is somehow reserved for like spiritual seekers, but self-awareness, consciousness, it is for all of us, and it is so important. And that is why I do the memoir writing. That is why I do the meditation. It is why I do all of this work. Because when I am navigating through life, I'm no longer letting my thoughts win. I'm becoming aware of those thoughts. I'm becoming aware of my conditioning. I'm becoming aware of where I'm triggered, where my core wound is triggered, so that it's not in charge anymore. I am. I can now recognize, just simply from the energy in a situation, how to notice the energy and know how it's affecting my thoughts. Notice how those thoughts are affecting my emotion. Notice how those emotions are affecting what I'm doing and the actions I'm taking, and how those actions are becoming habits, and how those habits are becoming my life, and how I show up in the world and what I'm bringing forth in my future. So if you want to really start making change, changing your habits starts with recognizing the energy around certain situations and why that energy is what it is. where that is coming from and why you have a certain feeling, had a first initial feeling of tension in or around certain things or certain people. It is a game changer, and one that I want everyone to know, because when you do that, when you awaken to that self-awareness, that is the number one thing for moving forward with self-love. Everybody, I remember the first time I heard these self-care, self-love, and I thought, pampering. Self-awareness is self-love. And so I also want to quickly say that from my last podcast and talking about my journey through Scotland and how, my original story of how I got here right now. And as I moved my body, as I moved through the thoughts and all of the trauma and all of the pain and all of the guilt and all of the things that were, everything that was happening in my mind, and I was moving my body at the same time and letting it kind of process together. And then I moved into this meditation work and into the yoga work. And that's blended into this powerful ability to see my life in a new way, to love myself in this deeper way. And I've put all of this and all of myself into a platform. And there is a free version, just like I have the Empowered Podcast. There is the Empowered Path membership. You can get in for free. You can sit with me every Sunday for meditation and breath work. But if you are ready to take the deep dive, there is everything you need to take care of your body, to take care of your mind, to take care of your spirit, all in one place with guidance, love, and compassion. And also, if you are ready to start your memoir writing journey and you want a little guidance, or a lot, come message me, find me, talk to me, and let's start this for you, because you deserve it. You deserve this self-love. You deserve the self-awareness that will start it all and help you live a more joyful life. Thank you so much for being here. I am overjoyed to finally feel like I've gotten episode 2 done. Funny enough, I already have episode 3 ready, but please look into the show notes and get this meditation. And if for some reason it doesn't work, please just message me and I will send it to you. It is a beautiful practice and one that I believe can truly benefit you. And so I'm leaving it there. And I want you to know that I see you, I hear you, I love you, I'm grateful for you, and I hope you have a beautiful day. See you next week.